First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Online right now, we are very excited to be joined by Jesse Waters, who currently serves as the host of Waters World, Saturdays at 8 p.m., and is the co-host of The Five, weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. on Fox News Channel. He joined the network in 2002 as a production assistant. And, Jesse, I was listening to, I believe you were talking with Brian Kilmeade the other day. It was yesterday about your experience with Bill O'Reilly early on.
Yeah. I was working in the basement of Fox, no health insurance, working till midnight, and there was a slot opening up on the Factor. So I went up to interview for it in Bill's radio studio. He came off and interviewed me during a break, and he looked at my resume, then looked at me and said, "What's your father do?" And I told him what my dad did, and then it got real silent, like he forgot I was there, really awkward. So then I said, "Bill, I read your latest book. It was amazing." And all of a sudden he perked up and says, "You seem like a smart kid. You start Monday."
Jesse Waters, knowing what works when it comes to getting through to people. So tell us a little bit about your book. My co-host here, Jeff, this morning said, "How I Saved the World." What's that about?
Well, I saved myself because, let's be honest, I needed a lot of saving. And right now this country has a savior complex where liberals just try to get into everybody's business and fix everything. No. Liberals need to fix themselves first, then they can start saving other people. So if everybody really looks inside and gets their own lives together, we will save the world. So I had time to write this book, and I just reflected on the career that I've had growing up with liberal parents who sent me to wilderness schools, and then surviving at Fox News and being unleashed on the streets, and how I've observed liberals in their natural habitats in the streets of San Francisco or the nude beaches of Martha's Vineyard, and what I learned about their idiosyncrasies and all their defense mechanisms and how they project that onto the rest of the country. And we analyzed the Epstein case and these racial hoaxes, and I just take you all the way through up to my dinners at the White House with Donald Trump. So a lot of really just fantastic stories that you'll laugh at. Me laughing at myself, so if you like laughing at me, you're going to love the book. Even if you hate me, you will love the book because there's a lot of self-deprecating stories in here, and I think the country's going to love it.
Jesse, one of the things that you said is interesting to me. A lot of the time you hear about conservative parents who their children end up becoming liberal or left-leaning. The story of you growing up with liberal parents and then becoming a conservative yourself, how does that happen?
Yeah, I guess they raised me right. They were tear gas protesting Nam in D.C. in the 60s, and they voted for Dukakis and Mondale and Carter, and then I came along, and I think I'd had too much to drink when I was watching C-SPAN in my dorm room, and I started listening to the Republican senators on the floor talking about their political philosophy, and I noticed, as a history major, very similar to the political philosophy of the founders. So that kind of clicked for me, and then I started listening to Limbaugh, and that was all she wrote. Now,
I would have to think that your parents, even now, they can't be as extreme, or, a lot of people say, Democrats from, however many years ago, 30, 40 years ago, aren't the same as Democrats or liberals today. Is that the case?
Well, I think my mom was radicalized during the Trump administration. She joined the resistance early and dragged my poor dad to the Women's March. And so she turned into quite the bomb thrower. But my father, since he's now having to watch The Five every day since I'm on it, is more of like, maybe you'd call a Joe Manchin Democrat. But I think my mom she's teetering on the squad almost.
Interesting. Speaking of Joe Manchin, what do you make of his position? Would you have ever thought that he would be in the position of power that he's in, or kind of wield the influence that he has right now?
He's holding the line, and he has to represent his constituents in West Virginia, not a blue state. So he's a political animal, and I don't trust him. He's still a Democrat, caucuses with him. But for the most part, he's not going to go far left and endorse nuking the filibuster or, federalizing the election. So you have to be grateful for that. But there's a few other Democrat senators that are right there behind him, but they're just not sticking their neck out as far as he is. So,
well, why would they when he's kind of taking the forefront of that role?
Yeah, he's taking some of the slings and arrows, and good for him. But again, I'm not going to die on the Joe Manchin hill. He could turn on you on a dime. So we'll see how it shakes out.
All right. Well, Jesse Waters, we really appreciate you taking the time. The book is How I Saved the World, available as of yesterday. So go wherever books are available and get it.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great morning.
All right, you too.